Welcome to Meet Me in the Penthouse. I am Amy, along here with my sister Molly. We help high-achieving women increase their income, but most importantly, their impact. We are neighbors, sisters, and business partners. We have built 8-figure businesses together, traveled the world together, raised our children together, mentored thousands of men and women together, and it's all because we have a penthouse mindset. We aim for the top, and we show others how to empower themselves to peel back the layers and truly step into their greatness and calling. Welcome to Meet Me in the Penthouse. Welcome to Meet Me in the Penthouse, where we help high-achieving women upgrade their income and impact. Today, we have McKenzie Ryan, one of our Molly and I's favorite people. She is beautiful, not only physically, but her heart is probably one of the most beautiful of any woman that I know. And it has just been such a pleasure to be able to spend so many years building a business with her.
So Kenzie, we're going to turn it over to you, and we're just going to let you just kick us off here and just let our audience know a little bit about who you are. Who is Kenzie?
Awesome. Thank you, ladies, for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So, gosh, a little bit about me. I'll try and keep this short. I live in Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm soon to be a Kansas native. Actually, I'm moving this weekend. The first time I've ever moved out of Nebraska, and I'm taking myself and my 2 kiddos. We're moving with my fiance. I'm so excited to get married this next year. But I grew up in actually a really small town in Western Nebraska of about 5,000 people. My graduating class was 60. I grew up with parents that absolutely are incredible. They did everything for us. They worked their fannies off, but they were kind of, a lot of that generation is like they stayed very comfortable and just stayed where they're at, and they lived paycheck to paycheck. And we didn't do, our vacations was driving an hour and a half or 2 hours to Colorado, and that's what we could afford. So I grew up with just very, I don't want to say basic thinking, but kind of you just do what you do, and you just show up to work and not work 9 to 5. And then you come home and you do the same thing all over again. And that's your life. I had little belief in myself. I was very introverted. I did not have very good luck with girls at the time. So I had to switch schools and stuff. I was bullied in elementary school and middle school, and then, in high school. And then I just kind of came to a point in my life where I was like, you know what? I just don't think girls are for me. And so I was like the bro of the guy group, and I was like the tomboy. And I kind of had that mindset, which is interesting because now I work in an industry that's mostly female saturated, and my love for women just, it oozes out of me. Like that's one of my missions, is just to love women and help them feel worthy, loved, and heard. But they say like you're meant to create the person you once were, helping those people that, created such a hard time in my life. I know that they just needed more love. And so for me, growing up in a small town, having that mindset, no one in my family before me had been super successful. No one had graduated college, had a college degree before me. But I always knew from a young age, at like 14, that I wanted to do something big with my life. I even told my sweet grandma Esther, like, I think I have a voice. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it, but I know I'm called to do big things. My mom had a dream when I was little. I just always knew like I was meant to do big things. And my mom did such big things. She served in such big ways, just in a quieter realm. So she was a youth pastor. She worked in social work, and she always wanted to serve. I remember her having middle school and high school women over all the time who were having boy problems and were just crying on our couch. And I just remember thinking like, this is interesting. Like my mom is just helping all of these young ladies, but again, she just did it in a more quieter way, and her kids, and we were always first. And I am so appreciative of that. But for me, I just knew that I wanted to be a little bit louder with it. I wanted to have a bigger voice to share with thousands of people and on a broader spectrum and globally versus in just my small town. And that for everyone, it's different. I always say, especially, for me, a lot of it's ministry is my passion, but you can do that in your backyard. You can do that at your workplace. But I feel like if you have a small feeling inside of you that you were created to do more, or you feel like something is missing, you need to follow that feeling. And so that's what I did back in 2017, I think it was. And Molly found me, and I was shopping on my day off, and I was working sales at the time. I was a super young mom. So I had a sweet surprise, Beckham, and I got pregnant at 20 years old with the guy that I dated in college and then got married to. And then we had Ella. And so I was a super young mom trying to figure out life, having this pull. And a lot of, if you're listening and you're a mom, maybe you feel this, you felt this pull of like, okay, I know that being a mom is my number one job and I want to take care of my kids and I want to be present. And for me specifically, I wanted to stay home, but bills have to be paid. And on the other side of that, I felt this pull of like, I want to do big things. I want to, I researched blogging and influencing and all of these things. And it was kind of like luck. And it's hard, to figure that out. And so for me at 21, I was like, okay, I could go back to school. I was weighing all my options. Molly and Armand found me. She asked my mom to take a look at the business. It's a social selling business with health and wellness products. My mom said, no, I'll pass, but you should talk to my daughter. She's broke, desperate. She borrows Christmas decorations from me every year. Gosh, she just needs to buy her own. Like, it was not a fun place to be in, being a parent myself and having to ask my parents for help. I was like, okay, Kenzie, figure it out. Like, get it figured out, because my parents weren't even in a place that they could help me. And so I know it placed a burden on them and, the stress on them as well. And so I was like, okay, figure this out. And of course, just being open to opportunities and open and honestly being curious and having your eyes and ears ready for when opportunities come your way, for when those doors open. Like, you have to be searching for those things. You have to be like visualizing those, like, okay, I'm going to have these opportunities come. I know things are coming. I know I'm going to get taken care of. For me, it was just big faith, huge faith that I knew that I was created for a specific reason, that that plan was going to get finished. I just needed to do the work and I needed to surrender, show up, and just be, again, open to opportunities that come my way. So when Molly asked me to,
I'm
yes,
sorry, if I can just, I love when you just said that you were surrendering, you were open for opportunities. Take us to that place where you were in your life. You said you were a 21-year-old mom, broke. Because I know there's a lot of women that have been in that position, right? They say on the other side of like that of adversity, or when your back's up against the wall, when you're broke, when you don't know how you're going to pay the bills, is where you find your other self. Was there something that happened? Was there something specific that happened? Did you feel you were just in a place in your heart that you were open to receiving? Was there anything that you could, if you look back at being 21 and desperate, that maybe happened, or a feeling, or take us to where you were that you found and attracted and prayed for this opportunity?
Yeah, I think honestly, I was just so sick and tired of being sick and tired. And financial stress, probably because of how I was raised, which this is probably going to resonate with you. We all have, that those money paradigms. Like, the only time my parents argued was about money. So it almost brought back that, like, that part of the child in me that was like, oh my gosh, finances. Oh my gosh. It felt like I was like, it just anxiety and like all that stuff. I hated that feeling. I hated it. It was depressing. It was horrible. It changed me as a human. I remember being like a short and tempered mom. And so I felt it kind of changing me as a person, I think. I think I remember just being finally like, I will say yes to anything other than anything that's against my morals and values. Obviously, like, we're going to keep it clean, but I honestly would probably say yes to anything. And I always say God has a sense of humor, because this is the last thing I thought I would do, but it's those things. Like, again, if you're just open and surrender, I think that I was so sick of being broke, honestly. Like, I was so sick of not having money, and I wanted the lifestyle where I could go have 3 gym memberships and I could go to the store and fill my cart with healthy groceries and not have to worry about a price tag. I wanted to buy the organic. I wanted to buy the cleaner products and like all that stuff, but I couldn't afford it. Well, that was the mindset I had, is like, you can't afford that. Like, you're not going to be able to buy that stuff or have that lifestyle. Now I'm signing up for Pilates class. That's probably out. Like, I never could have done that years ago, but moving to Kansas, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go to like Pilates with a bunch of other moms every single day and like live my dream life. It's like, for me, it was honestly coming to that place where, and the other thing is my kids, I had such an incredible mom. And I honestly, one thing I know that I have done right in my life, or really well, is being a mom. And my kids are my biggest why. And so them experiencing the short-tempered Kenzie, because I was stressed because of money, and just imagining them not having the lid off of their potential. Like, I feel like if I didn't show them that I could go do it and change their life, then they're never going to be able to do it. Like, they need to watch their mom do that. And so probably those two things. So being sick of being broke, and then just showing my kids like, okay, I'm going to be the last person in my family that it ends here, because I'm not going to allow this to go into their life and their kids' life and their kids' life and not do anything about it. That just like bugged the crap out of me. I have a competitive side, and I was like, it's not going to happen. So yeah.
It was breaking those generational paradigms. And Molly and I were able to witness it firsthand. You mentioned that you were going to be going to Pilates nowadays, which takes us to present day, right? We're a little bit sad and preparing to have you leave the community that we have shared with you locally in the same town. Share with us where life takes you now, and along with that move that we're so thrilled for you.
Yes. So since then, I've had success in my Arbonne business, all thanks to you ladies and so many incredible other women and men who've been in my path, who have helped me elevate and just poured into me, poured belief into me. I would say it takes one person to believe in you, like exponentially, to change everything. And that's why it's powerful that you guys are doing this podcast, and it's powerful that we use our voice to pour belief into others, because it takes one person, that's it. And that was Molly for me. And so that changed everything, where now, so I got divorced 3 years after I got married, so it'd be 4 years ago. And because I promoted to the top 1% of the company, right before that, I've been able to do everything financially on my own as a single mom or solo parent. And now it preps me. So not only did me being open and obedient to opportunities coming my way, working my butt off, because, a lot of times people are, okay, you can talk and you can do all the things, but you got to work for it too, right? But working behind the scenes, keeping my whys and my goals in front of me, and just knowing that I was going to, again, be the one to change those generational things. It prepared me for the divorce. And when my life hit rock bottom, I was like the worst season of my life. It felt like hell, to then meeting my fiancé now. And we always say prepare for impact, but are you prepared for opportunities? Because I also will never forget, just a short story before I go into Kansas, is like last year or 2 years ago, would have been 2 seasons ago, my fiancé is an assistant coach for K-State men's basketball. They made it to the Elite Eight tournament. 24 hours before, I was able to book a flight to New York City, not have to ask a boss for time off work. And I sat right here in this living room and called Molly crying. And I was like, I cannot believe my life right now. Like, I cannot believe that I didn't see this 5 years ago, 7 years ago when I said yes. I didn't see myself meeting my future husband, being able to support his career, booking the flight when I want to, not having to ask for time off work. So it's prepared me for opportunities as well, doing all of this mindset work, elevating myself around bigger and better people. So now I'm moving to Kansas with my son, Beckham, who's 9, and Ella, who's 5. And the community, I have a great community of people in the career that I have in the health and wellness space with social selling. Best hands down people you'll ever meet. Like, I would not trade anything for those people. But then I have this basketball family as well. That is, again, they elevate, they talk big. I prayed for years for my future husband to have godly mentorship in his life. And I swear he got the best of the best with Coach Tang. So for me, it's like, now this next season I'm going into, I'm moving with my kids. I've been able to shop way too much for furniture, and I bought a sauna, like all this fun stuff for my house, and not like financially. You guys, again, 7 years ago, I would have been like, oh, there's no way. There's absolutely no way that will ever be me, because I had no belief in myself. And all it was a mindset shift and somebody to believe in me. And so now I'm moving this week. I've had full time every day to just take packing kind of day by day. Last week, Monday and Tuesday, I said, screw it. I'm going to go to the pool with my kids. And then Tuesday, we went to the movie at 2 p.m. And I've been able to just live on my terms, and I don't have to go to work from 8 to 5 and then be like, okay, I have 4 hours to cook dinner, take care of kids, and pack the house. Like, I have all day to do it. I work my business alongside of it. And yeah, now, we got a house, 5-bedroom house in Kansas, and I'm excited to do the Pilates classes, to shop the, healthy aisles. And like, I think we're going to buy a juicer, and I'm going to juice every day for us. And like, it's just, I'm so excited for this next phase of life. And I'm so excited about bigger and better. My fiance and I always talk, we'll send each other houses, and like, we converse all the time. And he already says when. He doesn't ever say if. That's one thing I noticed about him when I met him, is he's like, when I'm the head coach at, or when we have this house, or like, we already know it's done, it's coming. It's just, we got to do the work until that. Or even the other day at camp, he was saying something about like, I don't know, basically showing up behind the scenes. And I said, yeah, but because you're showing up behind the scenes and doing your job, you're never going to get stuck. Look at all these people that are going to be stuck, and they're just doing the least amount of work that they have to. That is how we're going to build this amazing, beautiful life for our kids. And we have those same goals. He wants the same house actually with wraparound porch and the country and like all the stuff. So you guys, it works out beautifully when you're just have that penthouse thinking, when you elevate yourself and you put yourself around people who are elevated and who want bigger things for you. And, you know, in coaching and in sports, that's constant too. Like you're constantly, you're shooting to win. You're working to win every single year. You're always elevating. You're always pouring into yourself. And I'm around prayerful families and men. And so I'm so grateful for this next season I'm going in, but yeah, it's a lot. It's changed. It feels uncomfortable. I've already messaged these two ladies, Amy and Molly, like a little like, this is scary. And I'm definitely feeling all the emotions a week. I'm not getting very much sleep, but I know when the Holy Spirit is making it clear that this is good. I know it's the enemy making me anxious because he wants to keep me here. And I'm not going to stay here. Just like when I said yes to the business opportunity 7 years ago, I know when you're like, oh, I don't know if I should do this, but why am I feeling this feeling in my gut like I should? We all have it. And if you're listening, there's probably something that you have, or maybe it's a dream when you had from a little kid that you would kill it at, you can make a difference with, but you just have to act on it and get on the other side of uncomfortable. Then it's done. And then you become so much more confident for everything else in your future life because you're like, okay, I did what I thought I couldn't do. Let's do it again. So Arbonne and this business and you ladies have helped evolve me into the person where when I've been able to prove to myself that I can do things that I didn't think I could, you're kind of addicted to just keep doing those because you're like, I just always want to get better. So it's great.
Okay, Kenzie, this question I know is something that most people don't know about you, but I've gotten to see it. So introverted, awkward, 4 friends, didn't know how to meet people. Talk about that though, being some programming, reframing, obviously, but then growth also, because a lot of people might know you, follow you on social media. You appear incredibly confident. And I wish we did have videos of how much that has changed. And talk a little bit about that because it's so powerful what you really say about being introverted.
Yeah. So, well, I thought I was introverted. And I think, I don't know what the exact definition is of introverted and extroverted, but at the time when I started my business with Molly, I told her, Molly, I have like 3 or 4 friends. One's my ex-husband, one's my mom. So do the math. Like that's my list of friends, guys. It was not very long. And I also was like, I was the girl at the gym that I'm like, okay, head down, don't talk to me. And I'm super nervous to talk to anyone. And at work, I'm like, I was the last person to go greet a customer because I was like, I don't want to talk to anyone because I was scared. I was so scared and I was so introverted. And then years into my personal growth journey, I figured out it's really, I just had no belief in myself. I didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel worthy enough to make those human connections. And it was a lot of that, those girl problems growing up. Like I was scared kind of people, like, are they going to hurt me the same way that I was hurt growing up? And so then I finally figured out like the coolest part of life is human connection. Like the coolest part of life is being able to sit down with people and hear stories and really conversate with people and get to know different cultures and people and stories. And that's what helps you grow, is just listening, And so then I fell in love with that and my introvertedness started to kind of shrink away. But also the more that you have human connection, the more you figure out how equal we all are. And so that's part of where my confidence comes from is I'm like, I don't really care what you think because we're all the same here. Like you might have a better degree or maybe you have more money in your bank account or a nicer car, or maybe you don't, but we are all the same. And so with personal growth and being around ladies like you and people in, my industry is when you know without a doubt what your purpose is and that becomes clear, you just don't care about what people think. And so, I still think there's an introvertedness side to me, but that's like, if we're at an event, I need to go in my hotel room by myself and recharge by being away from people. Molly, I know you recharge by being with people. So everybody's different in that way, but I want to challenge you to really look inward. If you are an introvert, and that's one of the excuses, I'm just going to be blunt. If that's one of the excuses you're making to stay where you are, then like work on that. Ask yourself why. Ask yourself if that's true. Ask yourself if you just need some personal growth and some confidence boosting, because there's a ton of things you can do to build and grow your confidence. And these two ladies are great at that. But now I don't sweat profusely doing a call. I'm not sweating right now. Like I feel great. And I'm not nervous to talk in front of people because I know that it's going to help someone. And again, I crave that human connection. And that's what we're called to do, is to make friends, serve, make an impact. And so that if we can just keep it basic like that, your life can be totally different just doing that.
When you mentioned unworthiness, that is such, as we've, Jamie Kern-Lima has written that book, Worthy. So just in the last few months, that is something that I know we've talked a lot about, Molly and I and Kenzie. And I think that unworthiness, no matter how successful you are, particularly with women, that they feel that unworthiness. How did you overcome that feeling of unworthiness?
I think if you're going to be really honest with yourself, I think we all still deal with it sometimes. Like, we're human, we're not perfect. And so I think that that's part of what separates us from Christ is we're going to feel some shame. We're going to feel some insecurity, some unworthiness because we aren't perfect. Like, we're just not, and we're human beings. So I think coming to acceptance with that, and you're not always having to chase and constantly pursue this image and this likeness and the likes on Instagram and all that stuff. You're just like okay with who you are, and you understand that you're a mess sometimes. And like, that's part of it. But also, I think honestly, the biggest thing is just being around people who love on me and believe in me. That is everything. You guys, if you're around people that are life suckers and they're always talking negatively, and like, that is not good for your spirit. It's not good for your soul. It's not good for your confidence. So being around great people who truly care for you and want to see you grow, that's everything. Like, that's pivotal. That's honestly probably the thing that helped me. Also getting to know my Savior better, like getting closer to him and studying the word, because as you get to know him more, you get to know yourself more because you're made in his image, right? So for me, like, having more discipline in those areas has helped exponentially as well. And again, your spirit starts to change. You start to change with this different level of confidence. I call it Godfidence. You start to change and have this different spirit about yourself because you're so certain about who you are when you get to know who your creator is. And that's unwavering. That doesn't stop, But again, I still struggle with insecurity sometimes. I still, even in this last season, like moving and all the things, I got a little off track with my nutrition and stuff for a while. And then I found myself scrolling on Instagram and I'm like, oh my gosh, Kenzie. And I was looking at old pictures of myself. I'm like, what are you doing? And you get in your head and you're like, okay, it's 1 week of eating bad. Like, get it together and you're fine. Like, it's in your mindset around it and just like picking yourself back up and getting back on your game. And that's it. Not just sulking in that. And then like, that's what people do. And that's what happens with their confidence is they just sulk and they play the victim card and they just sit in their sorrows and their woes and they don't change anything. You can't just sit and play the victim. It does not serve you at all. So when you're on that constant growth, like your confidence and your worthiness and everything, making promises to yourself, that's the last thing I'll end that question with is, for me, I started to do the little things, and I've shared this in a lot of my trainings. So a lot of my life, I cut myself short, and it probably was a weird thing. I don't know. Like, maybe I would finish the workout early, or maybe I don't even know of examples, but now, like, when I maybe go on the treadmill after a lift, I do 45 minutes of incline walking or 30 minutes of incline walking. And I used to, before Arbonne days and before my personal growth journey, is I would get off at like 40 minutes and not stay till 45. Why? That might sound silly, but it's extremely important, actually. Like, it's like making your bed in the morning. Get on the treadmill, and I needed to finish with 40. So now I will finish and maybe add a minute, like Ed Milet says, add one more. By doing that day to day, those small habits, that's why I love, the Green Gut Glow shot I drink every single day. It's like one thing that I've committed to doing, that I'm doing and I'm showing up and I'm completing. It will raise your confidence by 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, just by finishing the workout at 45 minutes and making the promises you keep to yourself. That, when I figured that out, it changed everything for me. Like, that's when I was like, oh, snap, Kenzie, okay, you did it. Like, you can go do it again, but you're going to do it bigger this time. You're going to do it better. And again, I have a competitive side. So if I don't get it done, like we had a goal last month in our company of a certain amount of enrollments. And I'm going to be honest with you, again, I'm human, I'm not perfect, is I took myself out of the game because I was like, oh, I'm moving, I'm not going to have enough time. And you best believe that when everyone was sharing who earned the incentive, I was pissed. I was so pissed at myself because I was like, how dare you take yourself out when you know you could have achieved that, and if I would have made it in my mind that it's done and it's doable and it's easy and if it's effortless and it's just going to happen, even with all the craziness of my life going on right now, I could have done it. And so think about that, but imagine if you did that every day, every week, every month. Your confidence is going to be like, oh, I didn't do it. I didn't complete the goal. I took myself out of it. So confidence is everything. And you're not going to see someone at the top of our industry or our company. You're not going to see Amy and Molly are two of the most confident people I know. I mean, what Amy wore to my going away party the other day, pink suit, you guys should have seen it. It was amazing, like amazing. So yeah, you just got to have confidence, and that's something that grows over time. And you're not going to be perfect. You're going to have insecure seasons. Of course, we all do, but just allow that to fuel yourself to do better and show up bigger and not play the victim card.
I think that's so powerful, and you have done that so well. And one thing I know people always want to know, and especially when I hear a podcast, is what is something that they do? Is there something that you do that is a ritual or something in the morning, at night? I know you work out. Like, is there something that you read, that you do, that you pray, that you meditate? I mean, what is Kenzie's routine, her ritual like?
Yeah. So I know one thing that's keeping me from being at that penthouse level is waking up early. And, I shared before with you ladies that, I had conviction on not waking up earlier. It says in Proverbs 31, wake up early, prepare meals for your family and their servants. So this weekend is when that starts. I'm waking up earlier and once this moving is done, and that's going to massively change my life. So I encourage you to wake up early, but I want to preface that I'm going to say it, but I'm not walking the walk yet. I don't want to ever come on here and be like, oh, do this, this, and this, and I'm not doing the same thing. What I do every day though, is I attach my activity. So the things that I know that need to get done daily for my personal business every single day to something I'm already doing. For me, it's working out 6 days a week. Like that's been a non-negotiable for me, other than here and there, very, very rarely, but it's been a non-negotiable for the last 10 years of my life. So I will always do either my activity in the car, because I have kids, before I go into the gym. I'll get it done at the gym after my lift while I'm on the workout, while I'm working out. Or for me, like being a solo mama right now and my kids don't go to daycare, like tomorrow I have calls at 12 and 12:30, and I've scheduled those at that time because the daycare at the gym is 2 hours. So I'll work out for an hour and then do my calls at 12 and 12:30. I'll do IPA on the, so you figure it out. You just figure it out when you have to get it done, you figure it out. So I would say just doing the things that you need to do daily. If you find yourself, I feel like a lot of people have work-life balance problems. They say they're busy, they don't have time, all the things. It's like, you really aren't though. Like you really aren't. Like I told Molly all the time when I started my business, oh, I'm busy sweeping like 5 times a day. Guys, that was just making me feel productive, and it was not. So being able to have your priorities in line. Mine's faith, family, my business, and future business endeavors. So those 3 things need my attention and need action every single day. And those are non-negotiables. So my faith is I'm always reading a devotion in the morning, praying. Obviously I'm praying. Well, I'm praying multiple times throughout the day. At night, I'm reading books because it helps me fall asleep for the most part. And so personal growth can be wherever, but the more that you can be consistent and repetitive, the better. So if it's every single time you're doing the same thing instead of being sporadic all the time, it's really hard to be sporadic all the time, especially if you're a stay-at-home mom and you have all this, okay, I have 12 hours today. What am I going to do? Well, obviously it takes a lot of work to stay home with the kids and do all the things, but just prioritizing that. So for me, it's just at the gym, and I just make sure it gets done every day.
I love that.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today, Kenzie. You are, like I said, not only beautiful inside, outside, you're very successful and so humble. And probably one of my favorite things about you is how grateful you are. You're always so grateful and truly one of the kindest human beings I know. So thank you for gracing us today with your story. It's a story of perseverance, of faith, and it's only just begun. I just can't wait to see what these next few years bring for you and your family, your beautiful family.
And one more question before we let you go is, what does it mean for you to live in the penthouse?
Oh God.
Like whatever the download you're getting right now.
So for me, from more of like material, I would say like for me, penthouse it means success, and everybody's idea of success is different. Like some people want more, maybe it's exponential time and freedom. Maybe it's, but I think as long as that's always growing, that's a good thing. For me right now in this season, what I've kind of grown to fall in love with this future dream, and my fiance and I talk about it a lot, is the house in the country. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's massive. It's just a freaking big ass house. It's a big house with a wraparound porch. and there's rockers on the front, and we don't really have neighbors for maybe like a mile or two. So we have some privacy, and it's peaceful and it's still, and there's horses in the back, maybe some chickens. I don't even freaking know. I don't even like chickens, but whatever. And a long dining room table, so all of my family can gather for holidays. There's a seat for everyone, a big, huge pantry, like walk-in pantry, and everything's organized. And the neighbor kids are riding their four-wheelers or whatever down the road, the dirt road, and they're coming to our house and they're going in the pantry and helping themselves, and they're feeling loved, and they're feeling, just it's fun there. The energy is great. We're having youth group gatherings there. We're having, Arbonne events there. There's a pool in the backyard. We can like have all sorts of fun gatherings at, team dinners and stuff for Anthony's coaching. And even like downstairs, I've thought about like what it smells like. Anthony, something that brings up like past memories for him is the smell of popcorn, because basketball games, that smell of the concession stands and the popcorn is like, I want to have that smell in like a movie theater room downstairs. So like thinking about all like the little details, a massive window in our living room and a huge tree, like freaking, I don't even know how tall they make trees, but like a 15-foot tree. I don't even know. And it's in the living room. And it's beautiful at Christmas time. So that for material, like for our family, I would want that. But I want to encourage you guys, when you're thinking of things for yourself, which is very important, think about how you can make an impact just in your own home. Like I always say, your mission starts in your home. So how is that going to change your family? How is that going to change families of others when they gather there? What kind of energy and presence do you have while you're there? But then also that penthouse thinking, or that place to be where I want to be, is always growing, like always around people that are elevating themselves and getting better. I want to be in rooms, I want to go to events and things where I'm paying $20,000 just to be there in a room with Ed Milet, those type of people where they're speaking and they're pouring life into you and others and millions of people online, and like they have that kind of impact. Like I want to just to freely be able to say, yeah, I'll hop on a plane and go with you ladies, Molly and Amy, and do whatever I want to make sure that I'm always around elevated people and teaching others to do the same. That's the thing. It's like my faith. I never want to hold, and I know that's why you ladies are doing this podcast, is I never want to hold my success or the things that I've achieved or the wisdom that I know to myself. It is always going to be free. It's going to be given away, because it's my job to be able to tell my story and show people that the things that I've done, they can do too, with these simple things and, this personal growth. So that's kind of where I want to be, is like having that beautiful home, always like I've pictured it, always how I've smelled it and felt it, constantly being on flights and fun things, especially when I'm an empty nester, and just elevating myself always and being a leading, walking example to my kids on how to do that. And then also teaching others to do the same, like teaching other people that I don't even know yet. Like, if I can do this, you can do this.
And that is the truth, because I've seen it. I've gotten to watch you. I've gotten to love on you for these past 7 years that you've come into my life, and you do it well. Kenzie, you do it so well. And I love that more is coming. So much more is coming. And so be sure to follow her on social media at Kensben's and watch her journey as she moves to Kansas and has the chickens and the horses and all the things. And when she's eating popcorn, you'll know why now. So I just thank you. I love you so much. We both love you. And thank you for meeting us in the Penthouse.
Yes. Love you, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in today for Meet Me in the Penthouse with sisters Amy and Molly. Please rate and review. We love those 5-star ratings and would love to have you go to our website at sistersnextdoor.com.